It's Tim Albright with AVNation, taking a look at the Black History Month, celebrating Black History Month with the Black experience in the AV industry. My name is Tim Albright, your host. With me is Anthony Watson, Senior AV Engineer for the great USC. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And I am contractually obligated to say fight on, because if I don't, then Joe Way will beat me in some way, shape, or form. So let's take a look at kind of where you sit, right? Where you sit in the industry. Obviously, technology manager. You work in the higher ed space. So talk for a second about what it means to be an engineer, an AV engineer inside one of the biggest schools, certainly in the state of California, but I would argue probably in the country, in the U.S. as well.
Sure. To be quite honest, it's a wonderful experience. What I've learned over the past few years in this new role. I've been building up to this role for, I'd say, about 6 years.
Okay.
One of the great things about working at USC is the fact that, it's a higher education institution. And so pretty much everything we do is surrounded in higher ed. So that includes, students and faculty, and they also push us, to better ourselves through higher ed, whether that be within our, perspective fields or whether it be outside of our fields. They really push us, to look at higher ed as a stepping stone or as a way to reach your goals in life. So I really personally enjoyed working at the university. It's been a wonderful trip over the last 13 years.
Mm-hmm. You said you've been working up to this this position for 6 years. You've been at USC for 13. How did you get involved in AV? Like, these stories are always fascinating to me, because there are 15,000 different reasons why people end up in AV. So how did you?
Yeah. Well, I ended up in AV due to the fact that I pretty much reached the top of my tier in the help desk forum, or in the help desk arena, I guess you could call it. I worked at help desk at Earthlink. I supervised and managed my own help desk team prior to USC. And when I came to USC, I actually came on board as a network operations center specialist, which meant data center work, HVAC work, things of that nature. And then from there, I moved into the help desk because I seemed to kind of plateau in the network operations center. And so I decided I'd go back to something that I knew fairly well, which was help desk. And from help desk, I, picked up a call one day from someone in one of the classrooms. And, although I didn't know the AV system itself, the problem that the user had seemed to be stemming from their laptop. And so I just helped them troubleshoot PowerPoint, via their laptop, which, solved their problem. And from there, I became curious. And so I started searching around campus to find out, who supports these rooms. And from there, I met up with my boss at that time. His name was Bert. And, from there, it went uphill from there.
I want to hit on something here, because so much of the industry, the AV part of the industry, has moved to network, right? And you mentioned the fact that you were involved in the NOC, the Network Operations Centers. How much of that, of your history there and your experience there, has helped you over the last 6 years as part of, getting into the engineering part and developing, the engineering and the design of AV systems, because they are, a lot of them are not now, moving to the network.
That's correct, AV over IP. Absolutely. I will say this. Everything that I did up until my AV role, my current AV role, has helped me along the way. My help desk work, my understanding of networks from the Network Operations Center, that was all used during my time at the help desk. Understanding IP networks and TCP/IP, point-to-point protocol and things of that nature. Those were all important for me to understand in order for me to move into an AV role. And the reason for that wasn't just because of the network portion, but it was because of the mentality it takes to, troubleshoot, to be able to look at something from multiple perspectives and eliminate, what cannot be the problem, so that way you can find the problem. So all in all, the network portion did help me, but I have that information and that knowledge, stemming from high school, because we were coming into in 1995 when I graduated, we were coming about the age of, personal computers. They were still very expensive at that time. And so having an understanding of how to get a computer connected via a modem with modem strings and things of that nature, that was really popular back then. It was really intriguing. So all in all, that, stemming from high school is where that portion of my network education started. And it's very important because, like you said, AV over IP is going to be the new norm. I shouldn't say going to be, but it is the new norm now.
It is the new norm. Yeah, absolutely. And you and I you're a little bit younger than me, not much, but you are a little bit younger than me. But you're saying that getting those computers on the network is part of high school, and I still remember some of those computers classes and then programming classes from high school is started. It was certainly the start, the germ of a lifelong love of technology for a lot of us, right? Well, you and me that's where we got our start. And the first inkling of, hey, this is something different. This is something new. Whether because your and my dad worked on carburetors, right? On actual engine blocks, right? And nowadays there are fuel injections, right? Well, there was a transition there. Same thing with our generation, where we grew up with some of the first computers. At least I did, with some of the first computers in my school district. And getting that exposure certainly helped, fertilize a love of technology. So yeah, absolutely. And turn the corner here a little bit and kind of get your, you said you spent 13 years at USC before then, in various help desks. Regardless of whether it was your previous employer or USC in general, society, right, in general, right, there are certain obstacles that people of color face. What are some of the obstacles and the hurdles that you've had to overcome being a Black person, being a Black man in the AV industry?
Sure. One of the first obstacles I overcame, and it took for a huge change for me, was my name. My given name is Jarrell.
Okay.
Father of Superman, spelled a little differently, but
still cool.
Thank you. But I learned very quickly that, by folks seeing my first name, they had a thought, automatically of who I was, and I didn't get any interviews, and so I had to go by my middle name, and as soon as I changed my name on my resume and my email address and, everything, I all of a sudden started getting interviews. And then once I got in front of the folks, hiring managers and things of that nature, they realized, okay, this guy's got potential, or he's got a lot of knowledge, he brings with him a lot of experience. And then it was a whole lot easier for me to, get into, the jobs that I really wanted. I was able to get mentors and things of that nature, which kind of helped pave the way for where I am now.
There are several studies out there that highlight exactly what you're talking about, and that is the implicit bias of just non-Anglo names. I guess is the best way to put that. And it's unfortunate, and it's something that I think that we should, as a society, work to kind of fight against. But it's still there, right? It's still there, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. One of the questions that we've asked, and I've said this in a couple different interviews where we've had a couple of folks help us with some of these questions, because again, I'm a white guy, right? I know where I am, so there are some experiences I don't have. And one of the most fascinating questions that I'm going to ask you now: there is a choice when you come up against racism. There's a choice when you come up against bias. And that choice is whether or not to overcome it. That choice is whether or not to fight against it or to go a different way. So the question then is for you, Anthony. Why did you choose to overcome it? Why did you choose to kind of overcome those biases and those hurdles?
Sure. Well, from a young age, my mother, taught me, there's nothing to fear except fear itself. So there's a solution to pretty much everything you run into in life. All it takes is a little bit of backbone and hard work, and chances are you'll overcome it. And so, I learned really early to take things like criticism and learn from it. One of my first mentors said to me that, you were a very intelligent individual. The problem is you're too quiet. You don't talk enough, to let folks know, how much knowledge that you have. And so from there, that kind of, made me realize I'm the last person to raise my hand. But if someone's next to me and they don't know the answer, I'll whisper it in their ear and say, here's the answer. Go ahead and raise your hand, and that kind of sparked my management career. Because my mentor and my boss at that time, Maria, she gave me a platform to do just that, which was she put me into a supervisory role, and she let me choose my own team. She let me train my own team. She let me pretty much build the environment that I wanted to work in, and that, kind of helped mold me into the person that I am today. She always asked me to focus on being that kind ear and listening. And then after you get done listening, absorb said information and do one of two things: either shut up or give some form of, positive advice. And those are the things that kind of help me, move forward in my career.
The ability to choose to shut up sometimes, I think, is understated in some bosses. Let's just put it that way, and I'll leave that there. As we wrap up here, Anthony, take a moment and talk to a young person of color. Talk to a young Black man. Talk to a young a Black woman. Why should they consider AV as a career?
Well, I will say this: I've had so much fun in this career. I've learned a lot, coming from the IT world and having that interest in technology and understanding that there's a whole nother realm of technology that we haven't seen or used that works behind the scenes. And if you're intrigued by that, then this is probably the place for you, especially if you've plateaued in your respective field. I will say this also: everything that is going on in the IT field is being introduced now in the AV and every other field that has to deal with technology, whether it be the infrastructure, whether it be cloud systems. Even AV systems are starting to use the cloud. And so it's important that if you want to expand your knowledge or expand, your curiosity, so to speak, or if you want to, grab that curiosity and learn something new, that's what AV is going to do for you. It's going to open that up, open those doors for you, and give you a whole new place to learn.
All right, very good. Anthony Watson from USC. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Somebody wants to connect with you or the folks, fine folks at USC. How do they do that?
You can reach me at my email address, anthony.watson@usc.edu.
All right, very good. Anthony Watson from USC. Fight on for us, for AVNation. Go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. You'll find this program and our 2 weeklies looking at the AV industry from the commercial side and the resi side. All that and more at avnation.tv. It's avnation.tv.